Yes, we are live. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining. We are live on our webinar platform and also on SME Banking TV. So if you are watching us on YouTube right now, and if you would like to ask questions to our guests and participate in the discussion, please register by the link that you see in the stream description to join us on the platform. So, welcome to our webinar. My name is Olena Gryniuk. I'm CE Director at the SME Banking Club, and I will host today's webinar. And today we speak about digital talents management in post-pandemic era. The importance of digital talents means successful execution of digital transformation, which has been accelerated by the pandemic. And definitely for the next years, all the companies will be investing heavily to transform their businesses into the digital ones. And of course, digital talents will be in a great demand. I will just read that according to McKinsey report that I found recently, that they forecast that in the next 5 years, we expect the demand for talent to deliver on new capabilities to significantly outstrip supply. For agile skills, for example, demand could be 4 times supply, and for big data talent, it could be 50 to 60% greater than projected supply. So, how to deal with that? Which skills are in demand in the financial sector right now? And which IT talent acquisition strategy banks and financial companies should apply here in the region to win the digital transformation? And this will be the questions that we will be discussing right now with my guests. And let me introduce them to you. Claudia Archimovich, Head of Operations at Verita HR and Magazine Recruiter.
My pleasure.
Hello, Claudia. Michał Grzybowski, Partner at PwC Poland.
Hello, good afternoon.
Katarzyna Stachowiak, COO and Partner at ITDS Poland.
Hello, hi.
And Michał Kurowski, Head of IT Transformation at Raiffeisen Bank International.
Hello.
Welcome all of you, and thank you for being today on that webinar. And for our attendees, please participate in our discussion and type your questions in the chat, and we will read them and answer. All right, so let's go to the topic. And my first question to all of you will be that, yes, we all know that there is a lack of digital talents here in the Central Eastern Europe and globally. And let us go into details, which skills, which specialists are now in the greatest demand in the financial sector. From your experience, what each of you see on the market right now. Katarzyna, could we start from you?
Sure. I think it's good to give a little bit of background and to remind ourselves that before pandemic, all the recruitment process, all the onboarding, all the work was in 99% of time done on site with other people. When there was onboarding, we had also somebody who was helping us out, answering our questions. And currently, after the pandemic, throughout the pandemic as well, it's changed significantly because people are being processed in the recruitment process without the meeting each other face to face. The onboarding usually is also done online right now, and also the work itself is in hybrid model. So when people are coming to the company, even if they are working a little bit from the office, it's not necessarily said that they will see their colleagues there. It's not necessarily said that they will see their managers there. So definitely people need to have more soft skills. They need to definitely be more independent and able to adapt. They need to have the competence of learning on their own, working on their own, and bringing themselves up to the speed that the company requires them, and to, of course, adapt to the new conditions that are there on the market. I think also the analytical skills are very crucial here, and the creatively problem-solving approach as well. in order to ask the right questions. Since we are not in one open space on a daily basis anymore, it's good, and we're not part of the same conversations. It's good to assess and to ask the correct questions to basically be able to get into the flow of the company and so on. I think additionally the communication skills are crucial here. Again, since we don't sit in the same offices on a daily basis, it is important to be able to express the thoughts themselves and confront people in the right way. As well, we need to remember that we are dealing with other people via email communicators, and sometimes we might interpret some emails or thoughts of other people in the wrong way. So it's important to also be able to deal and communicate with others without negative emotions or tensions. And I think the last thing, before I let anybody else speak, I think the last thing is also important to be resilient and empathic. Resilient because it's so much easier to give up and to quit when we don't feel attached to other people and to the workplace. So definitely it is crucial skill to have to go through all the challenges and difficulties. And empathy, because we need to remember that there is another person on the other side of the screen. So we're not only dealing with an email, but also with somebody who is there and who has emotions. So it's important to remember throughout the difficult situation. So I think right now, after pandemic, the skills of people and competences that employers value is really the more soft skills than hard ones, because we need to learn to cooperate with each other despite the fact that we're not physically in one office.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, we will talk further on the skills and upskilling, skilling, I would say. But let's go further. Michal, would you comment from your side?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more on what Katarzyna said. But on the other hand, to put a little bit of discussion, let's say that would be ideal employee or candidate. I would say that has or she or he has a three elements of the skill set, like being the digitally fluent, having the cognitive, skills like critical thinking, emotional, and lastly also be really social person. That's probably something common that we would like to have in all industries. But that's, I mean, I agree with that, but that's probably the ideal one. I would like to add to that really the technology element, and not really being an expert of the. I mean, of course, the sector needs the expert in the specific field. Either we talk about the pure IT, or we talk about the data itself, or we talk about AI. But what is even more important is like ability and courage to learn and to upskill the digital skill set. Just that was last year, the big survey that we as a PwC did, which is called the hopes and fears, and this is among like hundreds of the employees in the world, including a few dozens in Poland. One of the biggest expectations from the employees and the candidates in financial sector was lack of the digital skills. So there is a need from them on the one hand side. On the other, the biggest fear was that, especially in the FS sector, was that the technology will replace me or replace us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So among of this, like, all three important types of the skill set that was mentioned, I would anyway, I would underline that one about the willingness to improve the digital skill set, and on the that people need it, and this is also the skills that banks or other financial institutions require.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Claudia, what's your experience in Verita HR on that?
I think that the most important, like, actually, right now with all of this emerging technologies and new technologies, is this like an open mind and adjusting kind of to is what is appearing in the market. So, for example, a couple of years ago, like back in 2015, 16, still maybe banks were kind of like treating blockchain as something exotic, like just exploring the market. Now, like banks are already like talking about that, using that on a daily basis. And the same is happening, for example, right now with the metaverse. Like HSBC in India is already like having metaverse room and metaverse meetings. And I think that it's very important when we hire IT people to our organization to have them kind of like open minded so they can kind of adjust to the market changes, because like I've never noticed in the past such a changes in the market as last 2 years, like because of COVID, and we were kind of forced to become more digital. Like we were forced to like move our employees from the office to the house. So it's changed our environment completely. And I think the changes are going to be coming even faster right now because we are adjusting to completely new environment. So I think this like openness is very important. And also, what I would like to notice is maybe like a DevOps methodology, because I was reading quite an interesting report by Bain Co. Recently, and DevOps was if it comes to job postings, DevOps jobs between 2015 and 2019 grew from by 443%. So the like need on the market is growing and growing if it comes to that. So I think that's also a good skill to have within the organization. So people with DevOps knowledge.
Michal, how do you deal with the difficulties to find digital talents and I would say acquiring to the bank, because among the young people who are digital native, work in the bank is not the primary, and they don't think primarily that they would like to work at the bank, vice versa. How do you deal with it? How do you acquire and retain digital talents?
Well, first of all, I have to say that answering a question after all these answers is super difficult, because all the basically the answers were mentioned, and definitely from my perspective, the typical set of what we look for didn't change. The demand grew. The ability of people to adapt, this is super important. Both adapt to the new technologies, but also to the culture. The remote working also opened up the much more like ability to work with different countries, different cultures. So the ability to adapt to that. What we cannot forget is that the digital talents is not only about acquisition of them, and I would say equally important, it's about the upskilling and reskilling existing talents, because enterprises as big as ours or even bigger, they have vast number of talents, and it's equally important to identify them, identify the skills they need to perform the job with the new technologies. But when it comes to the question how specifically the financial industry is dealing with it, and maybe RBI in particular, I think Olena, you're right. I mean, currently the banks are not top of mind association for the top IT talent. It's more for the big techs, fintechs, and all the other techs, not necessarily bank techs yet. And I think this is mostly due to the scale, the challenges they provide, and I think the clear purpose. With the banks, I think it can be overcome, to be honest, because first of all, what banks need to send a clear message to the market is that there's a lot of innovation going on. It's not only about dealing with the legacy systems there, etc. Of course, it's going as a sort of investment cycle, but I think now a lot of the banks are coming again to the mantra that business is IT. And for example, we at RBI 2 years ago already launched a group-wide holistic IT transformation programs consisting of thousands of people across the group, and that sends a clear message to the market. We provide a lot of trainings, a lot of challenges, a lot on the job trainings and upskilling possibilities. Secondly, the second thing to tackle is the culture. And here, what we are doing particularly, but I think other institutions are doing similar things, is we're creating a separate internal technology company that would serve the group. But because of that, we can work with a bit of a different employee value proposition, provide a bit of a different culture, maybe speed of how things are going on, to also tackle a bit those differences with the big techs. And thirdly, what we are doing also on top of that is that we recently started a strategic partnership with a School 42, which is an interesting franchise across the world, which is basically a substitute to a university, but focused only on the trainings in IT. And instead of typical lectures, typical classes, it's a set of case studies that are being done, and this is being done across projects. Yeah. So here we thought we are using it on how to even acquire much early. But maybe one last point from my side as a sort of counter observation, that in a very recent times, I mean, last year, in the times of a bit of instability, the crypto war, and you name it, actually we are seeing across our markets a lot of candidates saying that they want to switch from the sort of fintechs companies to the banks, because we already send the message to the market we're doing innovative things, and we're a much more stable employer than the fintechs. There are a lot of examples in CE about one or the other startups going bankrupt or huge layovers, etc. So I think here is the strength of the big enterprises like banks, that not only we do interesting things, but we also have a very stable setup.
Yes, I think that here RBI is a very good example. I mean, what you're doing in the sense of the messages and sending to the market that you are innovative, that you are faster, because just Michal, you were answering. I was thinking that in my latest conversation, which I did with John Mark Williams, who is the CEO at the Institute of Leadership and Management in London, he said that the banks are really are not a desirable workplace because they're sending the wrong messages. So they want to hire people with certain skills, but they're sending the wrong message to the market that they are searching for such people. And the recommendation is to change the message. And what you are saying is correct. It's just I think more and more banks should do this. Actually, because I mean, what we hear from the young people that everybody wants to have a startup these days, and nobody thinks on the banks as the first of primary place to work. Michal, I know you work in similar projects with the financial organizations. What on your opinion banks should do to change this, to win in this battle for digital talents? I would call it like this. Oh, you are muted.
Sorry for this. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. That's what I said, that this is probably $1 million question. Yeah. But let's try to answer, at least from my perspective. Some of them are really specific for banks or FS sector, but others are more common for the other industries as well. And what is maybe specific for Poland even more than C, in Poland, because of some triggering like better tax or other incentives, is like flexible work arrangements, not just being the employee. And of course banks and insurers are the regulated institution, but anyway, that's what is happening around cannot be not recognized in banks, and people would like to be more flexible, not working as a full-time employees, partially being entrepreneurs on B2B, etc. So this is one, definitely. And as I said, this is more difficult for banks, but not impossible, I would say. Second element really, which is less like regulatory driven, but still banks change a lot, and Michał mentioned some programs and changes in his organizations, but still this is more hierarchical industry, and at least this is perceived like this. And I'm sure that a lot of changes happened already, but still probably I know myself a few organizations in that sector which are still a little bit old-fashioned or not so modern as they could be in terms of speed of response, this employee experience, which actually comes from a client and customer experience where they, modernize a lot, but that needs to be translated into the, candidates and employees actually to change that experience. And third, really element I would put attention to is the like empowerment of people, which is correlated to this hierarchy, which is still in the banks more probably than others, but to give people power, like wisdom of the crowd. So use the like crowdsourcing as well, for example, in banks. So let people talk, let them to share their ideas and use these ideas. So this is important to move a little bit at the managerial or C-level to let people lead some projects or lead some initiatives. Yeah, this is something which is definitely which could help banks, and this that is more common for other sectors as well.
Let's talk about digital upskilling, because all of you mentioned this. So how, well, first of all, digital upskilling of the IT engineers or digital talents, I would say, how it can be done effectively today, taking into account also this home office and partially coming back to the offices. How it can be done effectively right now? Are online courses kind of enough to cover that? Who would like to share? Claudia, would you start?
Sure. I think if it comes to upskilling, it has to start kind of on the top of an organization, because first of all, we have to build a culture around the people in the company that we actually expect them to be digital native, to be able to upskill. So it should start with the leaders and the directors and managers in the organization, and then when we build this kind of environment around us that makes people think more about upskilling, changing the like a path, thinking more into like a IT direction. I think that's going to make the whole process more successful. So it's not really about like what tools are we using. If it's like online learning, if it's sending employees to the like different trainings and stuff. It's more about like starting with the culture and expectations, setting this up. And then when people are going to be eager to change something, if it comes to the skill set, if it comes to the technologies they use and know, they're going to come up with the ideas on their own because they're going to be inspired to do something. So I think it should start on the top, and we should focus first on changing ourselves as leaders, and then the whole organization will follow that.
All right. But how then? The next question to all of you and to the next speaker is that if to talk really, let's cover also this digital upskilling of the top management. But I would say maybe this is not digital upskilling. This is upskilling of the top leaders for them to manage digital transformations, because leaders, top managers should not be techies, right? As IT engineers, let's say, that should be able to manage the organization, to manage the people during the process of the digital transformation, right? And this is another set of skills is needed, and probably here the meaning of the definition of leadership could be a bit changed. So what do you think on that? How it can be done? If it could, I mean, do you believe that top management can be upskilled from the level not supporting or not understanding digital transformation to the level of supporting? Is it possible at all, or this is another set of leaders are needed? actually?
I think it comes to the like a culture and the mindset. Like they don't have to, especially like become IT engineers when they are like HR director, let's say. But
Yeah.
if they are like bringing this mindset to the organization, that's going to help the organization itself. So I think that's the thing. So banks are like a traditional banks are mostly the companies who are considered like a safe for employees. They are not really like considered to be involved into like innovation too often. But the leadership team should like show on the market that we go to the events, we are learning about new technologies, we are working with the startups, we are like maybe having accelerator and like gathering startups together and like creating some kind of activities for startups within the organization. And that has to come from the leadership team. And when that is shown to the employees, they're going to be more interested in upskilling. So I would look at this from this perspective. It comes to like a leadership team and changing the career paths within our organization.
Who is willing to contribute next to this question?
I can maybe supplement, not to be the last this time because it's always most difficult. But I would actually like to touch upon first on this leadership, but then come back on the upskilling. I think generally on the leadership and being super general, we can have two sort of paths. We can have leaders who are coming from the particular area, and they are naturally much more techy, as you would call it. And there are great examples of leaders in that area. Take a look at CTO of Amazon, Werner Vogels. He is arguably techy. The company is doing great. He's very motivating and so on. Second group of leaders are more, I would say, people leaders or people having an ability to set the structure, the strategy, the vision, and motivate people behind them. And I don't think there is right or wrong. I think different teams, different setups require a bit of a different leader, but both can usually work. I think, and what I like to keep reminding myself is that at some point, always each leader is a sort of should work for his team, not necessarily not the other way around. Yeah, and this is the very popular recently concept of servant leadership. And I think irrelevant whether the leader is techie, yeah, or he is not, if he's focusing and listening to his team and rather empower them and help them to grow, give them more responsibilities, listen to what they are saying, and based on this, he formulates the vision and then communicates it wider. I think it can work. So it's much more about skills when it comes to leaders. It's still people skills over particular technical skills, I would say. And just referring back to the question earlier about the upskilling, I fully agree that the message should come from the top, but even less about the need for particular skills. But I think there should be a clear link. What is the strategy that the company is doing? What are the transformations, the projects, the direction which will be growing, and therefore what skills are needed for us to get there? Because that link is then important, because first of all, this upskilling is not only theoretical, because then the people have the ability to apply it in real life examples. But secondly, there is a link. Okay, I need to learn this or that skill because we are going in the direction I will need it in the future. But then I agree. How we do the upskilling is already a bit secondary. Probably all the methods are useful at some stage.
All right. Michal, would you add something?
Yeah, just maybe one element that hasn't been mentioned yet. Like building, which is again not just for the financial sector. So building the inclusive environment, I would say. Yeah, and from different perspective, but I will just mention one. Of course, we probably have a kind of the thinking that the digital generations are the youngsters, but at the same time, leaders that we are talking right now are working with or are leading like even 4 generations, yeah, currently. So this inclusivity and managing this the variety of the generations and variety of the characters, age, etc. That's also crucial for current leaders to be able successfully lead their teams.
All right, Katarzyna, would you add something?
Yes, I definitely agree with everything that was said before. I think what is the biggest challenge is to really change the mindset of people, and also of the leaders, as it was mentioned before. The only constant thing in life is actually change, so it's nothing new that we need to adapt to the changing conditions in the world. But definitely pandemic has accelerated the pace of adapting and the changing, because right now, as it was said, the services need to be more online, the banks need to be more in the 21st century, not as modern as fintechs, but definitely they need to aim for going forward. And it is definitely interesting how different companies they address this issue and the digital upscaling. But I think the most important is to do it when the people are open and motivated. It's regardless if it's online, if it's the training course, if it's platform. There's a lot of actually really interesting training sources of learning, but people just need to be open. And I think empowering people, what Michał said as well, because there's a lot of information, just people need to reach for it, you know. So I think empowering people and letting them know that they are the future, they need to basically switch their thinking. This is the biggest challenge currently, because everybody's, you know, working without seeing each other. So it's very difficult to motivate people when we don't see each other on a daily basis. We cannot stimulate each other as we used to when we were in one office space. The vision of the company, the culture of the company is also very important, because when we're working from our home and we are only with laptop, it's completely different feeling. So I think the culture, it's a base, and the good leadership, the inspiring leadership is really the key here, I would say.
What is more important now, the individual skills of the engineers, employees, or this is the skills of working in the teams? And from your point of view, and what do you see, and maybe also relating to the situation that almost everybody is working from home office, how it can be, how teamwork can be accelerated, how these skills can be upskilled, if I can say it like this, today. Katarzyna, maybe if you can
individual skills are definitely important and needed when it comes to the leaders, because they need to move the crowd, they need to take on the team and motivate them, inspire them to have set transparent goals. And this is really needed for people to have charisma, character. They need to stand out, they need to be leaders. However, working in teams, I think this is more and more challenging for people, especially the new generations.
Yeah.
Some of the people who started their first job, they started it actually online, without being in the office, without feeling the spirit, without taking part in conversations, getting to know people. Even if you're working and you're working individually and the team is just next to you in the open space, then you still hear the conversations, you bond with people, you see how they are working, you can learn from them, actually, from observation. So this is something that is very difficult when people start the work, or they never actually experienced working in the office. I think this is a really skill that in the future will be really a big focus for people to be able to work in teams, to be able to communicate with each other and express each other in a good way. Good means of efficient and without any tensions, because as I said before, like only communicating via laptop and different communicators can be really difficult for some of people. So emotional intelligence, is really important here, I think.
Yes, I just thought that probably for young people, this team building and communication will be much more easier in a digital world, kind of, in metaverse, than in real life, because I know I have seen that young people, kind of the ones that 20, maybe a bit more, especially if they are working in the IT sector sphere, they are kind of stressed with the personal communication. It's easy for them and they're very fast in typing the messages, typing everything. They're digital native. And it's sometimes very stressful for them to do a personal conversation with voice and and this is a challenge, I would say. Or we will really move to a virtual reality where everybody will where young people will be comfortable to meet in the teams.
Yes, I think it's less confrontations, because when we are in our home only with laptop, we are prepared, we're ready. We don't have to pick up a phone if we're not ready for it. We don't have to join the meeting if we're not ready for it. It's in the end the decision of a person. But if we are in the world, in the company, in the office, we cannot we cannot run away from confrontation. So I think it's something funny right now when we discuss it, but I think when people are really locked in their house, they really might feel stress, as you said, because they don't have enough human contact and confrontations that are a surprise sometimes for them.
Yeah, right. Claudia, what do you feel?
Like, if it comes to coming back to the office, I think if it makes people feeling uncomfortable, we should probably think how to change that, because I think it's good when we are able to meet with the team, see each other, and maybe do not force them to go to work every single day, go to the office every single day. But it would be nice to meet once a month, once in 2 weeks, to gather the team together. Maybe not whole team, but make kind of how to call that, cool day in the office. So people are coming there, they are not stressed that something bad is going to happen, but from time to time it's good to have the whole team and tell them oh, we're going to meet together, we're going to go for drinks after working hours, to have this opportunity to actually interact with each other. Because I like I mentioned at the beginning, we have this metaverse meetings right now. We are sitting on Zoom, on Skype, on Teams all the time, but I think people still need some kind of human interaction, even if they say it's stressing them. I think we should help people to actually interact with each other. And I think it's going to be good for everyone. Just make that less stressful and talk to them about that and kind of encourage them to do so. I don't think we're ever going to come back to the 5 days in the office ever. But I think meeting from time to time with your team and team with each other, it's good. So we should embrace that and kind of convince people to do so.
Michal, are you forcing people coming back to the office?
Which Michal? I mean, if you ask me, no. I mean, we are in a hybrid, model as probably majority of the organizations, and also majority of organizations that we are advising. And hopefully, I mean, another comment from my side that is hopefully we will not land all in metaverse or being closed fully or working 5 days or fully remotely. But that's maybe because of my age. But that's half joke. But the other is I fully agree with Claudia. Even if not in the short run, but in the long run, even not in our organization, these people who even are a little bit afraid right now and fully comfortable in their home houses, we need to help them actually. And probably that would be beneficial for us as an organization, in a short run, in a closest future. But definitely this will help them, further in the road, because they don't know when they land actually and whether they will be doing the same job or similar job in the same model in 5-10 years. Hopefully not. So they interpersonal skills will matter at some point. And second thoughts, it's around about tools. tools, ideas, environment. So whether we are working remotely or we are, in these days when we work from the offices, we should have the collaborative tools on, if we are online to do this. So, any murals, any types of other really technology that is helping, not just listening and say something during, the presentation, but really collaborate, draw, put the stickers, whatever, name it. And the same, like equivalent in the office as it has been said. Joint meetings, some, projects meeting on the days, nice place actually to share ideas, to talk. I mean, mainly about the business, but not only about the business. Yeah. So to definitely to avoid situations that we are asking or inviting people to come to the office and they are sitting on their desk at that day. Yeah, because it doesn't make a sense.
Yeah, right. Michal, what is your practice in RBI?
Sure, I'll try to answer shortly. In RBI, generally, we also follow the hybrid approach. I think it would be nonsense now to force everyone back in. I think some companies tried it and then regretted it.
And they failed.
Yes, because it creates, like, pandemic created the ability, and now we cannot forget, we shouldn't forget that we have now this ability, or we cannot try to undo, especially that it brings a lot of benefits from the perspective that in a multicultural setup like I have with my team, basically in one day sitting at one desk, we can work with multiple countries. No need to fly over, etc. That's also good, by the way, from the ESG topic, which is super interesting right now. Yeah. Secondly, it works the same for hiring. No longer we need to focus on one city in which the main office is, or in cities even in which a couple of offices are, because we can now hire and attract talents from wherever. Yeah, so we have this ability to work, to offer services, support to multiple countries, but we can source from multiple countries. And in this setup, how would we make it, every day in the office? That would be nonsense. There would be a lot of frustration, issues with retaining talent, and so on and so forth. So with RBI, it's fully flexible. In my team in particular, we rather already treat the office like a integration day, meaning we come to the office whenever this is suitable for people. It doesn't have to be the same day. It's a fully, let's say, compulsory approach. It's compulsory, like optional approach for people to select the day. But usually what I see is that people talk to each other, like, hey, which day you will be in the office, etc. Because the goal to go to the office is not to work from the office,
exactly,
but rather to meet the people. Is that the coffee in the kitchen to have some interaction, maybe some after work activity, but it's mainly about the interaction, because the work from the office currently in the current days anyway looks like this. People are anyway looking at their computers, talking to their headsets, etc. So if to come to the office just to do that, then I think it's already more comfortable than to stay at home.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's wrap up our webinar. My main camera died already. So to sum up, maybe give our attendees your tips on what an effective and successful, I would say, IT acquisition strategy should they apply right now. Who will start?
Okay, I can do it. I think if it comes to looking for new IT people and growing our IT teams, we shouldn't focus on the most basic job boards we have available. We shouldn't focus only on LinkedIn. We should look for the different places to find the best candidates, because most of the IT people now is chatting on Reddit or Twitter. Most of the IT people is putting some code into the GitHub, and when we just use the popular job boards, we're not gonna find the ones that are actually really looking for some new challenges, because like they are not longer using that job boards, that tools. So I think we should be more creative with finding the IT talents, and
Should do it
actually,
metaverse, yes. We should start
yeah,
searching metaverse.
exactly. So I think like a little bit changing the way we look for those people is important. Like I mentioned before, if it comes to like attracting talents, like going to the events, meeting people there, like cooperating with the startups, working with the platforms, like for example, Tech Passport, who is connecting banks with the startups. Like that's I think important. Not only job boards, the most popular ones in the country.
Okay.
If I may add something, I think it is also very important to invest in employer branding, in marketing, because definitely the candidates, since we don't meet each other during the process face to face, they really do the background check. So they are checking, they are reading about the company, they are checking the opinions, and the company needs to be appealing to the candidates. They want to apply to the workplace that has a bad reputation, legacy systems, or old technologies. So definitely the company culture, career and development, satisfactory salaries, additional benefits, or team building events are, among others, a couple of factors that candidates are looking for. So it's definitely good to have a team that can really show it out to the outside world, and to paint the picture and the message. I think as well, the company culture is an important topic, because we cannot anymore as employers rely on a ping pong table, a kitchen full of snacks, or PlayStation to replace clear company culture and long-lasting values of organizations. So this is definitely the focus of companies, and they need to really do their lesson and their homework. And building relationships is really important. So if a candidate doesn't fit your profile, doesn't fit the requirements, it's really great to stay in touch. The talent pool, it's huge, but it's also limited. So it's really it would be a shame to stop the contact with somebody just because we couldn't make the deal today. So it's great to really prepare the talent pool, keep in contact, and get back in touch after a couple of months to see if maybe it will be this time a success. And last but not least, I think it is really important to be open and flexible, because the new generations really require this. So I think it was mentioned before as well that we have a couple of generations that we're dealing with. So it's really valuable, important for companies to be able to present options for each generation. And I think to keep the conversation open, we need to meet each other halfway. So this is something I think.
Okay. All right.
I would, if I may add, I would actually answer this question a bit from a different angle, and I don't know whether Olena, you on purpose used the name acquisition, but my thinking and the practices among big enterprises is that if you say that the main asset of your company are the people, then this also is an option now for the acquiring talents. Like one thing is the recruitment, but the other thing you can start treating as a real asset that you purchase. So more and more often what we observe is a lot of company acquisitions, but mainly because of the talents that they have inside, less even about the product that they built. Often it's even not about the product, it's about the capability that particular team has together. And this can be a smaller boutique companies, bigger companies, but it's purely about how we acquire talent of a particular skill set. And ideally, also, knowing, working together, they're having some sort of culture. Maybe we can blend it with our culture. Maybe it can also help us, etc. Yeah. So that's one way of thinking about it from the sort of acquisition perspective. But the second one that is also quite useful is strategic partnerships, especially for bigger enterprises that maybe don't have the best, they are not the first company you think about if you're an IT talent, is setting up a partnership with technology companies, with consulting companies, but focused mainly on cooperation of people. And it doesn't have, and I'm not talking here about, body lease companies. I'm talking here about, jointly cooperating on particular technology, on particular transformation. But these are long term cooperation. It's not like 3 months project and off you go, but let's discuss, let's jointly discuss 2-year agenda and how, we will be co-delivering it with the talents on both sides, etc. This also brings a lot more, like it's much more attractive also for the people in that setup. So I would also, if we are saying people are our asset, then also let's think about how to acquire them as such.
Yeah. And what you told me, this could be the strategy as well. Thank you very much for your contribution and participation in today's webinar, Katarzyna, Michal, Claudia, and Michal. Thank you very much. Thank you all our attendees for staying to the very end. Thank you, and see you next time online.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.